Um, Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, hi, hello. Oi, olá, Sanibunani, Dumelang. Como está? Está bom? Ça va? Comment ça va? Comment está? Comment allez-vous? Whatever language you use. Um, asante, asante sana. All right. Today I'm back, and I want to be talking about computer programming, and that's coding as well. So it took me 15 years, more than 15 years, but maybe about 17 years to begin to understand about computers, to begin to make sense of computers, how computers work. Okay, so in the 15 years, I had a lot of troubles to make sense of how computers work. So I used my experience, the troubles that I went through in understanding computers, basically just to understand computers, to be able to explain to others, so that what I found difficult, uh, maybe other people may not find it difficult if I explain it. And the computers now are on high demand, and the computer jobs as well as computer programming is on high demand in the world. It's very important. It's actually it's what the world is going. Um, Everything, every kind of technology now is based on how computers work. So I take my troubles to explain a few basics, especially fundamentals on how computers work. For I try to break it down that a person who never went to computer school, okay, would be able to understand the most basics. There are so many people who are explaining on YouTube, and there are so many books about computer, but they are very difficult to understand how they explain. So I try to bring it down to a natural level, to like the life examples. I give the life examples so that the person can understand. So today, the topic that I want to talk about is the big misconceptions about coding and programming. There are so many big misconceptions, but this one is the most crucial one, especially when you talk about people who want to do programming. Okay, there are so many ideas. People have ideas that they want to do. Many people would like to develop maybe mobile applications, like software, to be able maybe to have your software that can be working on the phones, etc., etc. Maybe to have your own, program that can work on the computer, but you like to write that program from scratch, or you'd like to design that program. So it's not easy. Many people think that that can be an easy job to do, but it's not easy. So I want to explain why it is difficult, okay, or why it is supposed to be a full project. No matter how simple it is, but it's supposed to be a full project. You have to dedicate yourself. In fact, some of the programs, they take maybe a whole team to develop, no matter how small it is. So when I talk about programs, I'm not talking about only applications or softwares, but even websites, even web blogs, okay? To come up with something that is nice, that is very interactive, it's a little bit more job to do. But I want to address this misconception. One big misconception that actually is common is that people would like to develop an application. They would like to start coding, like for example using C++ or using C Basic. They would like to code, to write the whole program, and then the final product should actually come immediately after they finish. See, it's like people are looking for immediate results. You see, so people are not impressed with most of the YouTube tutorials, because most of them, they don't show the output, like the final product. Okay, like you would have someone teaching about programming on YouTube channel, but the final product would not come out because they're using examples, but the final product would not come out. So is people most of the people watching YouTube channels and tutorials, Even in school, it's the same story. You see, the lecturers would come and then maybe they would teach about it, but still the students and the learners would not be impressed. They take nothing because they don't see the output, the immediate results of the project of coding, to code or to create a computer program. So I want to explain to address this problem. Okay, this problem is not for the developers themselves or for the lecturers or the teachers or the people doing tutorials, but for us watching the tutorials. Yeah, it's our ignorance, because we think that someone can develop a program, you can write a program, you can start designing your program and using coding. You can code using a specific language and then immediately you can see output. That is not possible. It's impossible. Why is it impossible? It's because coding itself, maybe the definition differs from culture to culture, okay, but coding, it is supposed to be the designing of the internal workings of the computer. For example, if we say you want to develop a software like maybe WhatsApp, how does WhatsApp work? It's not about the graphics that you see about WhatsApp. Okay? People who coded WhatsApp or people who wrote WhatsApp, who designed WhatsApp, they did not start with the graphics that you see, how it looks like on the phone. Not that. See? People who designed WhatsApp, actually, let me show you something. I want to take some, maybe if possible. The main job people who designed WhatsApp, the main job is they had was to design the internal workings of WhatsApp. For example, you have this application. Okay, let me show you this application. These applications, okay, the mobile phone. Alright. You can have application like this. Okay. And this is how a phone works. Alright. Okay. How it interacts, whatever it is. Okay, alright. Thank you very much. But okay, like I've said before, it took me 15 years to make sense of how computers work. I couldn't make heads out of it. I couldn't understand about how exactly computers work. But everywhere I went, I would meet the demand for the computer knowledge. Okay. And that was so pressing to me to say, oh, this is very important, something very important to know. So when you look at the mobile phone like this, for example, okay, you see all these applications, okay, they were developed by people and through coding, okay, that is programming. All right. So one misconception is that people who join like computer programming, okay, they would like to learn computer programming in the sense that someone can explain computer programming from the start to the end until a final product should come out. That this is my application should come out. That this is my application, right? Should come out to say this is my application, final product. It's very difficult. So one thing I would say that programming or coding is about the designing of the internal workings, okay, of the computer. So even programming of mobile phone applications, any type of programming, any type of computer programming, is about designing the internal workings of the computer. So you design the internal workings of it. Why is this important to understand? It's because computer is like is dumb. Computer is dumb. It does not have legs. It does not have eyes. It does not have ears. It does not speak. Okay, it's nothing. It's dumb. Actually, it's dumb. If you look at the board, computer board, it's just a a breadboard with components that exchange the signals and their behaviors, their natural behaviors. It's not like one device then gets life and behaves and changes behavior. No, the way it was designed, the way it was manufactured from the factory, it's operating the same way. Okay, and the other one also is operating the same way, the way it was manufactured in the factory. The other one also is operating the same way, the way it was manufactured in the factory. They were planted there, they're exchanging the signal. Okay, so you make it, you give it life. Okay, you give it the legs, you give it the eyes, you give it the life. Okay, through coding. So how do you code? Coding is actually designing how the computer itself should be able to manipulate the signal or interpret the signal, all right, and be able to interact with input and be able to produce something like as an output. So that is the most important fact to know, that you can't start coding up to producing an output same time. Okay, no, you have to design how the computer will interact with your code. It's very important. So that is where the languages are coming in. For example, some languages were designed, you see we have programs and softwares and applications. Okay, any application could have been developed from another language. For example, you have we have an application like the one they call FL, which is like Fruit Loops FL. It was developed by DeFi. Okay, DeFi language. All right, they could have developed it with Python. They could have developed with C or C++. All right, but maybe it could have been different, maybe better or worse. Right, but they developed it anyway. They developed the way they developed it. So the graphics that you see, their interaction with you, but the internal workings is the code now. It's called the code. So for you to begin to understand how to design the internal workings of the computer to be able to produce a product that you see as a software or an application, that's what coding is all about. So you have to understand the language, the computer language that you choose. For example, you choose C Basic, or you choose Python. Okay, you have to. It's very limited the way the language they designed it. Okay, it understands how a computer would interpret. Okay, all the syntax that can be written. So it's very limited. It's very limited. The resources are so limited. When you are coding, okay, or when you are learning, when you want to learn your coding or you want to understand coding, the first important thing you should know is that you are getting into a field with very limited resources, because the computer does not understand the language like a human being. Okay, it's different. It understands very few words. See, that's why you have machine language. that the computer itself understands. 1100, 11100, that's the movement of the signals on the board. Okay, those signals, they were transcribed into American standard system, Unix. Okay, they also call it Unix. So if the signal is 1100, 11100, maybe it means A. 1110, okay, it means B. Or 0011100, it means C. Or the whole alphabet. Okay, so the manipulation of registers, this is very important. Coding, what makes it possible for the computer to be programmed? What makes the computer to be programmable? It's because it registers the signals. It's capable of registering the signals and storing some data. Okay? That's all. So the whole programming starts from there. The programmers actually manipulate that capability or the ability of registration. That's what is very important for coder people, programmers, or people learning to program, to understand and to know. Okay. So when you're going to programming, or you're trying to learn coding, it's very important to know that it's very limited. Only you should understand that you will be dealing with a device that is only capable of registrations, and the language that it will be able to capture is very limited. So most important thing for you is to design the workings of your application. If you design, for example, if you want to do maybe text editor, all right, the way Microsoft Word was made, all right, let's say text editor or a website, you have to explain using very limited language, you see, how the interaction will go about. Okay, if a person presses this button, what will happen? Okay. If a person wants to move this to go to that, what will happen? How will the computer itself, okay, be able to store data, be able to present data on the screen, okay? And how will it be able to minimize, etc., etc., all those things? How will it be able to interact with other softwares, other functions? What are functions? What are parameters? Okay. So what are constants? Okay. What are variables? All those things and their definitions, you will have to define them, okay, in the manner in which your program will be able to do it. But in the very limited language, where most times you'll be using some simple mathematics like add, subtract, add, subtract, add this, subtract this, take this into memory, take this out, okay, add this, okay, create a definition, okay, add this, make this a headline, so on and so forth. But you'll be using the language that is acceptable in that particular paradigm. So that's where there's a big misconception about coding and programming, actually, to say how is it not possible for someone to start coding and be able to produce like an output or a product at the same time? It's not possible because, like I said, programming or coding, we are programming the computer. We are programming it. We are programming the computer. We are programming it so that the internal workings, once we initialize it, the internal workings should be going like this, like this. Okay. It's the same like manufacturing of a car. They don't start with how the car looks like. Okay. That is the final product. So if you are a car designer, for example, and you want to design your car and you start from outside, all right, you are lost, because that's not how a car should be designed. When you're designing a car, you start from inside, the workings, how the workings will be, how the different components and parts will be joined together, all right, how they will be interacting in different situations and different scenarios. etc., etc. So this is what I wanted to address. It's very important because I want people to be able to understand the most basic, in the most basic way to understand programming. Because most of the experts that are talking about programming and coding, they're very, very difficult to understand because they're using expert languages. But I would like to, even someone who did not go to UK, to computer school or to a coding school, can get a sense of the reality of the natural examples, okay, of real life examples of what programming and coding is all about. It's very, very important. Please subscribe to my channel, and you must like my videos, and I will be able to summarize a lot of very complex topics in the most basic way so that everybody can understand. Thank you so much.